You talked about a crash earlier.
Mm.
While you were filming Top Gear.
Yeah, not a very good driver, me.
36 years old, 2006, I believe.
Yeah.
Take me to that day.
Well, we'd had a discussion in the office, and I have told this story before, and some people, you might be bored of it, sorry. Andy Willman, the editor, had said he'd got this chance for this car to be driven, and I'd gone into the office saying, look, I just want to go really fast. What's the fastest we can go? It's that dumb an idea. They came up with this car, and I went to drive it, and I turned up on the day, did numerous runs in the thing. It was pretty basic and crude, really quite fast, especially when you lit the afterburner. Jet-propelled dragster. I didn't have a speedo in the car because they knew I'd be chasing speeds, and that would be dangerous. So there was no speedo. I didn't know how fast I was going until after the event. You stopped it, to stop it from high speed, had to pull the parachute cord. Stop the parachute, came out and stopped it. And I'd done all the day's runs, and the director came over and said, Rich, I've got permission for one last run. Oh, brilliant, right. We were happy with how it's gone, but let's get one more bag of shots. And I was aware something had happened. All I recall is a sense of, oh no, foot going towards a brake and realised I was doing I didn't know, but I was doing 300, just shy of 320 miles an hour. So brakes not really do anything. The car, what had happened is the front tyre had delaminated and blown. The car had skewed right and was going off road, but it was still doing 290 miles an hour as it started to roll. I'd pulled the lever for the parachute, which was all that mattered to me when I finally, weeks or months later, became aware of what was happening. I needed to know, had I done that? Because I looked at my children and thought, if I've nearly denied you a father for the rest of your lives because I'm an idiot and I did the wrong thing, I wouldn't forgive myself, but I did do the right thing. So it was never going to stop it. So then it went over. And it rolled, and as it went over, I knew, there's no roof, just a roll bar. I didn't know how fast I was going, but I knew it was fast. And I just thought, well, I'm going to die now. But it wasn't. Again, I'm on record as saying this, and I don't want to go on about it because I get self-conscious. I don't want anybody to think, oh, stop going on about that. And I'm not, but if you are interested, I found it interesting that there was no fear associated with that. There was no, oh no. There was genuinely, it was answering a question that kind of at the back of my mind I'd always wondered. And I think a lot of us do, all of us. When am I going to die? How? Why? And it was like, oh, it's now. That's the answer. That's the next thing to do. That was it. And then I wasn't conscious again until in hospital. And I was conscious apparently when they got to the car, but I have no recollection because the damage was done. Brain decelerative, sloshing forward, so frontal lobe bleed. Because just decelerating upside down, using my head as a brake, it isn't good for you.
Have you heard the story about what was going on in your family at that time, while you were unconscious in hospital? Who called Mindy, your wife? Yeah,
Mindy was called. She was on the road. She was called by Willman. They all spoke. It was hard, and my daughters were young. And for them to grasp it was pretty difficult. Yeah, it's disruptive, it's horrible, and it's hard. And my memories are all over the place anyway, because I had very bad post-traumatic amnesia for weeks, like a 1-minute memory. Which Mindy, my wife, always says I was the nicest I've ever been. I was lovely, apparently. I was perfectly happy, which does make me, and has made me think often since that, I've got a friend who's, we all have friends perhaps, or ourselves, whose parents are, through whatever degenerative form of illness, losing memories. And I always say to him, is she happy? Yeah, fine. If I go to see them, she'll come into the pub to see me 3 or 4 times. And he's equally happy each time. Well, that's all right. Doesn't matter. And I was perfectly happy reading the same newspaper every single day, several times a day. It was by my bed. I'd just pick it up and, oh, brilliant. I'd sit down and read it, put it down. A minute later, gone. Until Mindy took it away because she was sick of seeing me read it. But it was more distressing. And really the message there is, as if if somebody is in that confused state of whatever variety and for whatever reason, if they're happy, they're happy. Then all you've got to do is cope to support them in that happiness. Doesn't matter if they can't remember who you are, what anything is. If they're happy, they're happy. And that's that. And I was.
When you're in that coma, I watched the video you produced about your incredibly powerful video about your morphine dream and the crooked tree on the hill. Is that true? That there was a morphine?
Yeah, I was I was being held in coma because brain was expanding post crash. So they were holding me in coma, but it was looking very, very bad, and they had called Mindy in. And they said, I think we're losing him. I could do. She said, is there anything I can do? Not really. Try anything. Can I shout? Yeah. So she roared and shouted at me, don't you dare die. Really quite sweary and cross.
Why did she do that?
Because she was cross. She didn't want me to die. I think there's lots of people who've done that. I think I'd do that. But when all else is tried and failed, if somebody is lying there, yeah, last resort, don't you dare. Because, she wanted me around. I think we'd all do that. It's not just a movie trope. You are calling to somebody. And I think we know in our heart of hearts, we do have a great deal of independence in terms of what happens to us. Our mind is a powerful thing. Mind and body are one. Chiropractor friend of mine, he'll kill me for that. Osteopath friend of mine, Steve. Sorry, Steve. Osteopath, very well-read man. And we were talking about mind and body as one. And about, bringing them, I said something about bringing mind and body to work together and all together. And he said, it is all one because it's never been apart. Oh, yeah. Your body and mind have never existed separately. They've only ever existed as one, and one needs the other and complements, and one is the other. Which is why if in that coma state, and it's only an altered state of consciousness, I'm not dead, I picked up on the emotion from Mindy, the anger, and thought, ooh. I said, the dream was honestly all going to be in trouble now. It's not funny anymore. It's a very distinctive flavour of, when you're feeling you're being a bit naughty and you're being cheeky, you're getting, and then you realize, oh no, I really am in trouble. And that's when she was really roaring and shouting. And yes, our mind can do an awful lot with our bodies. There's enough evidence of that over the years.
Your mind took you to your favourite place.
Which gives me immense comfort. Because it will do that eventually anyway. I know that's where I'll go. And given that at the moment of dying, of the body shutting down, of it stopping to do all the things that it does, you're no longer tied by all those, by time, not biological rhythms, lunar rhythms, none of those matter. You're not beholden to them anymore, which is a kind of eternity. So if my last thought had been walking around that tree I was up there 2 weeks ago.
The Lake District?
Yeah, went to the same tree. If my mind takes me around there, and that thought echoes for all of eternity as far as I'm concerned. And really, the universe only exists as far as I'm concerned or you're concerned. It's only your perception of it. And if that last moment is no longer constrained by worrying about heartbeats or cycling of the seasons, it's kind of an eternity, isn't it? And I wouldn't mind hanging around by that tree forever.
What was happening in that dream? So you were in a coma, and you have the sort of a morphine-induced dream where you're walking up a hill. Yeah,
I was walking up the hill towards a tree, and I grew increasingly conscious that, I'm going to be in trouble for carrying on. No, I'm going to carry on. I just want to press on. And then as I reached the tree, it was a very clear, oh no, I really am going to be in trouble. I better go back. And that's the point. I just related that story as a unit to Mindy. And it was very clear when I was brought out of coma shortly after. And that's when it happened. I mean, it could be a story. Don't forget, your brain fills in things after the fact. A sense of recollection is all you need for something to be in the past. It doesn't have to actually be in the past. But I've retained, I've gained immense comfort from it. I find it very comforting and warming to think, so I'll continue to think it.